Our last presenter for today's session is Dr. Linda iLham Barto. And Linda iLham Barto was born in 1949 in the foothills of Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina, USA. Raised as a Southern Baptist, she converted to Islam along with her husband in 1999 after discovering Islam in a series of dreams. So quite interesting. Her book, Memoirs of Hillbilly Muslims, tells us the story of her spiritual journey. With 2 art degrees, Linda's career was in commercial art and writing. And she is now an author and illustrator with 7 books published thus far. She has a 2-year certificate in writing children's literature, and she applied that skill in rendering the entire Quran at about 5th grade reading level. So her book, A Universal Message Interpreted from the Holy Qur'an, was edited and approved by Dr. Sheikh Ahmed Pandor of South Africa and was released in 2020 by Light Switch Press. Linda is a decorated veteran of the United States Air Force and the North Carolina Air National Guard. Linda's current work in progress is a daily devotional for Muslim teens and pre-teens to guide them in their daily challenges. The title of her Quran translation is A Universal Message Interpreted from the Holy Qur'an, and the presentation title is Making the English Quran Accessible to Everyone. And I would again remind everyone to please write your questions in the chat box so that we will have a very engaging question answer session for this interesting debate that is going on. Thank you. Linda, over to you, please.
Assalamu alaikum and best wishes to everyone. My topic again is making the Quran accessible to everyone. A common thought among most translators of the Quran is that the passion and rhythm of the classical Arabic are so powerful and poetic that any other rendering is destined to be a poor representation of the splendor of the original. The idea that any endeavor would lend only inferior results may certainly create a mental block, preventing a translator from achieving a natural, graceful flow of English prose. A translator not only has to love the original Arabic, but also he or she must have a love for the language into which he or she is transferring the meanings. It's not enough simply to get the literal meanings, but the rhythm and dignity of the prose also need to be interpreted. Every language has its own exclusive elegance, and the language's unique qualities must be used skillfully to create a Quranic translation with its own unique literary value and majesty. Although the glory of the classical Arabic cannot be perfectly mirrored, a translation must reflect English as a graceful and endearing language as well. The translator must listen to the elegance of the original text and then be faithful in rendering the same style of elegance into the English language. The Quran must be made accessible to people of all reading levels. In the USA, about half of adults cannot read a book written at an 8th grade level. According to the Literacy Project, the average American can read only at a 7th grade level. A Gallup analysis of data from the U.S. Department of Education concludes that 130 million adults in the USA have low literary skills, meaning that more than half of Americans between the ages of 16 and 74, that's 54%, read below a 6th grade level. Dr. Iris Feinberg, Associate Director of the Adult Literary Research Center at Georgia State University, says that anyone can have poor reading skills. She states, it's not just people who are poor. It's not just people who are racial minorities. It's not just people who speak funny because they're from the South. And I'm laughing because I'm from the South, and people do tell me I talk funny. Add poor English grammar in the written material to the statistics of poor reading levels, and many Quran translations are unintentionally designed for failure in reaching about half the U.S. population. I have scanned some passages from a few Quran English translations, and they come up to high college level. This means the message of the Quran is being withheld from those who cannot read college level material. And this is not what we want. Everyone has the right to be able to read and understand the message of the Quran. This should be a major goal of every translator, and it needs to be accomplished while keeping the Quran sophisticated enough to satisfy readers with higher reading levels. Without naming the translators, I'll give some examples of hard-to-read verses from popular published Quran translations. Here is an example of a passage that has a reading level too high for most people. And this is Surah 11, 105 through 107. The day it comes, no soul shall speak save by his leave. Some of them shall be wretched and some happy. As for the wretched, they shall be in the fire, wherein there shall be for them moaning and sighing, therein dwelling forever, so long as the heavens and the earth abide, save as thy Lord will. Surely thy Lord accomplishes what he desires. So I ran that passage through the Flesch-Kincaid reading calculator, and the results are that the grade level is 18.5. The reading level is college and difficult to read. The reading ease score is 42.7 out of 100. This means that most people in the USA would have a difficult time comprehending this passage. The problems in that passage include complicated sentence structure, unfamiliar word usage, and run-on sentences. Good writing makes the point as simply as possible. Here's another passage by a different translator that shows the problem of overwriting. And this is Surah 13:22. And who are patient in adversity out of the longing for their sustainers' countenance, and are constant in prayer, and spend on others secretly and openly out of what we provide for them as sustenance, and who repel evil with good. It is these that shall find their fulfillment in the hereafter. So on the Flesch-Kincaid translator, the reading ease is scored at 53.5, and the reading level is 10th to 12th grade, fairly difficult to read. The main problem here is the use of unnecessary words, which makes the reading more labored than it needs to be. The number of words in this passage is 52. In my English Quran, I rendered the same meaning in 41 words. The Quran should be translated without a sectarian agenda. The Quran is for everybody, including Muslims of all sects and people of all religions. Don't rob the Quran of that interfaith beauty. Don't use the Quran as a weapon, denigrating other religions. Here is an example from a translation that reflects a sectarian view and expresses intolerance of other religions. And this is Surah 1, 6 through 7. Guide us to the straight way, the way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not the way of those who earned your anger, such as the Jews, nor of those who sent astray, such as the Christians. The Quran offers guidance to Jews, Christians, and people of other religions in an instructional manner. When the translator adds them to ayats that do not specify them, that targets those people in a way that is not helpful and could be potentially dangerous for them, as it provokes hate and suspicion. Many translations use words that are obsolete or not commonly used, and a few words are used with archaic definitions. The following verse uses a word that was used in the 18th and 19th centuries and earlier but it is no longer used in the way this translator used it. And this is Surah 2:18. Deaf, dumb, and blind, and they return not. In previous centuries, the word dumb was used to describe someone who cannot speak. That definition became archaic during the 20th century. However, Quran translators are still using it. The meaning of the word dumb evolved to describe a stupid or foolish person and is no longer used for nonverbal persons. Options include mute, speechless, silenced, and wordless. In my translation, I used the words unhearing, unspeaking, and unseeing. Besides myself, the only other translators I could find that did not use the word dumb were Layla Bakhtiar and Fadel Suleiman. I recommend all Quran translations be updated to replace the word dumb and any other archaic and uncommon words. I recommend every translator use the Flesch Kincaid reading calculator or another reading calculator to determine if your translation's reading level is too high, and to learn to use simple sentence structure and short sentences. Thank you for listening to my speech. Assalamu alaikum with strawberries and whipped cream.